I am currently in the PC, the protective unit, for my offenses are not acceptable to most of the inmates, but it also limits me to the number of programs that I could take to try and better myself.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mandalorians, we are about to see a case that I think will even shock the most senior members of this channel. And that is the case of a serial Ch0m0, someone with a serial record who has been protected by the very top. Now, what I'm about to tell you again, it's going to seem unbelievable. But let's start with the reason that he's locked up in prison. You see, he was placed in a position of power over children. It came to be known that he had at least 5 victims starting at the age of 3 in this position of power. But then a state trooper, 25 years in the force, tried to cover up that abuse. But wait, there's more. You see, it turns out this cockroach over here, he was a serial arsonist. He liked to light things on fire, and he did it when he was a volunteer firefighter. Now, it just so happens that one of those fires resulted in the death of a couple. They left behind grandchildren and children. Yes, he killed 2 people. Now, it was a cold case because they could not find out who lit the fire. But good investigation work found out who it was. And I'll go over that information in the unpacking. When they went to go arrest him for this crime, they said, whoops, he's already locked up for being a Ch0m0. So he was right where they needed him. Now, do you think they would have given him maybe enough time to lock him away for life, make sure he never gets out? But the answer is no. He was only given 8 years. And guess what? He got out on parole for his Ch0m0 case. He got out on parole for killing 2 people and being an arsonist. And then while out, he was revoked. And here he is back again asking for parole. So not only is he not locked away for life, but he basically had served just a few years for doing that to 5 children and killing 2 people and being an arsonist. Make it make sense. This is why we do this. Now let's go. I'll unpack it with all the details at the end.
Peter, Waraksa, Waraksa, 336484.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Peter Waraksa, number 336484. He is serving a sentence of 8 years, execution suspended after 3 years and 11 years probation. For violation of probation, the underlying charges being illegal sexual contact, 3 counts, sex assault, 4, 2 counts, risk of injury, and violation of probation. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of August 1st of 24. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows that the offender has completed the following programs. He is currently participating in Voices, utilizing the statewide. Oh, go ahead. Did you want to say something?
We're on our 5th session right now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the high range risk for recidivism. Utilizing static 99R, the offender's overall score for sexual offense recidivism falls within the low moderate range. Mr. Waraksa, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin, sir.
I feel I can get more treatment on the outside of jail or prison than I can within prison. I am currently in the PC, the protective unit, for my offenses are not acceptable to most of the inmates, but it also limits me to the number of programs that I could take to try and better myself. So if I get out, maybe I can get more programs to help me deal with my problems.
Okay, Mr. Waraksa, we appreciate you letting us know. Anything else?
That's
No?
all I have to offer.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll begin asking you some questions. We'll deliberate when we're done with our questions and give you our decision. All right, panel member.
All righty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Waraksa, if that were the case, why did he violate the terms of your probation?
I have a problem that I can't really get proper treatment for other than the mandated court procedure of programming through the connections. I need additional therapist or social worker or something to that nature that can help me deal with the problems that I have. Also, when I originally got out and every time afterwards, I asked both of my parole officers, I have special parole and probation running at the same time, if they could help me get a phone that does not have internet. And they just told me, go out and buy a phone. Well, just buying a phone is a risk to me. But when I was at the Eddy Center, at the time I was violated on my probation, I had received a phone from Singular Cellular, which has no internet capability, so that I do not have the temptation to try and do what I'm not supposed to do, so I can better control my problem.
So it's not up to probation nor parole to get you a phone without internet service. That's your responsibility. That's number one. Number two, do you have health insurance?
I have Husky.
Okay, so that through Husky, you should be able to obtain your own therapist that specializes in this kind of behavior and pursue treatment that way. However, until you get yourself, until you're able to control yourself, you're going to have to continue to participate in the state mandated treatment program, which happens to be through the connections. And if you continue to repeat the behaviors, you're just going to have to keep doing the program over and over again. And you were already on special parole. In fact, you're on special parole now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so now you're asking for discretionary parole on a new conviction. And you're telling us pretty much that probation nor parole really is helpful for you. So I don't know why what are we doing here today?
What are we doing here? Because you called me here to speak, and I'm telling you what is going on, and I understand that I have a problem. And only recently, with help when I was at the January Center, to find that Singular Cellular has phones that do not have internet, I've been able to get a hold of one so that I could not reoffend. But not having the access to the internet and talking to my caseworkers and stuff, they told me I had to have it approved by either special parole or probation to get a different phone other than purchasing one in the world.
What? You have to get a phone? We have to give you a phone?
No, you don't have to give me a phone. I just needed somebody to either look online or give me resources to who provides such an item.
Okay.
And parole and probation said they don't deal with that.
Okay. And so who out in the community do you have as a support?
I have a couple friends in Bridgeport. I have a cousin, an older cousin than myself, in Plainville, and a friend in West Brookfield, Massachusetts, and that is all.
look that up for you and get you that information so that you can have a phone. Why does parole or probation have to do that for you, sir? You know, here's the thing, Mr. Waraksa. Do you understand that being on special parole now and violating and returning with new convictions, we really do have the authority to have you complete the remainder of your sentence there in prison along with the additional time you have on special parole?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So how many times do you think you violated? Or how many times do you think that you've been released under supervised release?
Repeat that again.
How many times do you think that you've been released out into the community under supervised release? How many?
I got out in 16. I was out with, I think it was like 18 I came back, and now March of 23.
So,
and without any kind of support and approval to get a phone.
You've had support. You've had support out in the community. You've had probation. You've had parole. I just asked you about people in the community that you have a support, and you named a few people. So you have the support. It's your decision to make poor decisions that is what is causing you to return back to prison. You understand that? Okay.
I understand it clearly.
You said that you need something outside of the connections, and I just said to you, you have individual health insurance, so you can find a provider to help you with that. Those are two solutions to your issues.
See, I wasn't aware that I could seek out somebody by myself, because special parole and probation gave me instructions and orders. You do this, you do that, you don't do this, you don't do that.
They're never going to say to you that you cannot go to your own individual provider. Who does that?
In addition to what probation and parole, you have to do the special services, the connection program, but there's nothing that says you can't seek other services to go with that. I just want to make sure. Yeah.
That's absolutely right. That's what like you're saying, you're telling us that you're having all of these issues, and I'm telling you, here are your solutions.
Okay.
So, and I'm also saying to you that we tried to work with you, sir. And let me go back to my original statement that I show here, at least you're being under supervision 4 times in the community, and you've not been able to complete any of those successfully. And now you're back from being on special parole out in the community. You come back with new charges, and now you're asking us for discretionary parole. So just let me explain this to you. If we were today to grant you discretionary parole, you would be on discretionary parole and special parole, because the special parole is still running. I'm sorry, and what date does that expire?
I think it's like
right. And so
26th
October 27. Yep, 2026. Right. So if we grant you discretionary parole, you'll be serving those 2 things. Now, should we decide to deny your discretionary parole and you be released, then you'll be serving your special parole and your probation dually. So you're saying to us that you have an issue with your supervision out in the community, but it's the same supervision and support that you're going to be receiving when you walk out of those prison doors. So my question to you, Mr. Waraksa, is what do you want? What do you need from us?
When I asked my parole POs for if I can do other program to help me, they told me no, because the only program that's mandated and ordered is through the connection, which I understand. I was looking for additional psychological assistance, and they said I could not do it because it's not what is demanded of me.
Okay.
They even
I'm telling you, Mr. Waraksa, that's not true, sir. If you have your private health insurance, you're allowed to to obtain your own therapist in addition to, as the chair said, in addition to the treatment okay. So what
This is
is
the
it?
first time I've heard it from.
Okay, so now that you
about
have
this.
all of this information, I hope that you can make good on that.
I'm hoping
as
to,
for-
now that I know that I can do this.
That doesn't mean you go back and say that you can, we told you that you can have your own, provider, and that's it. That's not what I'm saying, sir. I'm saying you can have a provider in addition to the condition of
Yes.
probation, in addition, not instead of. Those are two
I
different things.
understand that.
I'm all set.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Waraksa, you're before us today for 2 of the charges are violations of probation.
Yes.
Were you participating in treatment while you were on probation?
Yes, I was. I was going to the parole office.
Right, and participating in groups with the
Yes.
connection. And how
Yes.
long were you doing that? How long had you been in treatment?
I was out for close to a year, so probably like close to a year's time.
Okay, and when you go into group, right, and they run the circle and they speak about how everybody's week was and what were some challenges and are there relapse, do you speak up and say that you're having trouble in the community?
Yes, I do.
And how is that handled?
It is said that the therapist that I had, a Miss Elba, says I will bring it to my supervisor and inform them, and we will talk with your POs. I have 2 of them.
Okay, and do you talk to your PO about it?
Yes, I have.
Prior
And
to,
they keep, prior to group, and every time I see them, that I have ongoing problems, and I would like to get into another program, even if I have to find it myself. But they say, no, you have to do the sex offender registry program that the state offers and mandates, and that's the only one that's satisfactory.
okay, so
And that's a
I
bit frustrating.
can understand how that can be frustrating, but you heard what Ms. Berry was explaining to
Yes.
you? And
Yes,
let me finish. And my understanding of being in the community is that, yes, you have to do the mandated program, but you can supplement it with your own services as well. But what I'm getting to is, before you downloaded all these new images to this phone, did you tell them that you were relapsing?
yes, I did.
You did?
I
And
said
no-
I went out and purchased a flip phone as they instructed. And I told them the flip phone has the internet services on there. And they said flip phones don't have it. And they just continue to, I could not get a smartphone.
Okay, I'm going to
Because it
stop you
has-
right there, because you need to go back to taking ownership, right? So you know that your phone has internet capabilities. Did you give the phone back? Did you give the phone to your probation officer? Did you take the phone back to the store? Because, right, you have to take ownership of your response before you can make progress with your treatment. You need to take ownership. Parole, probation, they are supervisors, right? Monitors. You must mentally and physically take ownership of your own behaviors.
But
So-
they tell me I have to have a cell phone.
That's not what
And
I'm
if I
telling
can't
you.
get, I understand that, but if I can't get any other phone that doesn't have any kind of internet, because the general stores don't sell them, you have to go through a special provider, is what I was told. I tried 3 or 4 different stores in my walking area, and they said, we don't have those.
Okay. So, and I appreciate you. It sounds like you made some effort to seek a phone that did not have any internet capabilities. But what I'm saying to you is as you move forward, it is your responsibility ultimately. I mean, at some point, somewhere in your life, you will not be on supervision. And you need to have the tools and the capabilities to make better decisions for yourself, regardless of whether somebody is monitoring or watching or supervising. That's my point. You know,
Okay.
it was your decision to keep the phone. It was your decision to download the pictures.
Yes, I have
Okay.
an
And you've been
affliction.
you do. You have it, an illness, a disease, you know, a disorder that
Yes,
I hear you, and I think it's progress. You recognize that. I think it's progress that you're asking for additional help. And then I'm adding to it and saying you need to take responsibilities for your decision making. You need to work to manage your behaviors with the tools that you're learning in treatment.
I understand that.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Warski, you, I have a note that you want to go to the January center. You know that we cannot say, please send this man to the January center. It is all up to parole, Department of Corrections, but I do see that that's your hope. If you didn't get to the January center, what else would you do for release?
Well, beside going to the mandated program at either parole and probation, and knowing now that I can seek out some kind of assistance through the Husky insurance plan, I will seek out another therapist or counselor or whatever they're called to help me deal and better enable me to control the demons that bother me.
Okay. All right. All right, Mr. Warska, thank you. Panel member Daskis.
I don't have any questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right, Mr. Warska, we will deliberate about your case now and give you our decision in just a few moments.
Thank you.
All righty, thank you. Panel member Barry.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Right.
Okay. I honestly could not support Mr. Waraskis. Discretionary parole here today. He has not participated in any programs. He's in the places program. He has not completed it. He's
I
not.
had a medical problem where I
It's
passed
fine.
out.
We're deliberating, so your time to speak is over. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So, he has not completed anything to address why he's here. Even out in the community, he was not really able to comply with the rules. He was already on special parole when he committed the offense. I understand where there appears to be some sort of miscommunication between he and his supervising officer, but hopefully now he has a better understanding of what he has to do when he returns to the community. It sounds as if he does have some kind of support in the community, and to be out. I mean, this offense happened back in 2005, and he's been serving this period of probation for I don't know how many years now, and it's not working. I don't. And for at his age, for him to still be considered a high risk to recidivate instead of phasing out of the system, is very, very concerning. While I know that we have the authority to max him on his special parole, I would have him finish the remainder of his sentence in the facility. I would have him complete the remainder of that special parole once at his EOS, which is December 18th right now. That means that he'd go out then, and then he'd be serving probation and special parole again. I'm hoping that he has a better, more success this time, because I mean, he'll be done with us before he's done with probation, 11 years. Yeah, but I could not support him today.
And I concur in terms of, finding Mr. Waraksa suitable for discretionary parole and having him released to his special parole when he finishes this sentence. I think probably what concern, I appreciate that he appears to recognize that he feels he needs a higher level of care. Hopefully after today's discussion, he'll be able to work towards that. I also believe that when he was participating in treatment in the community for the 1 year that it reported, that he could have been talking about his triggers, his relapse, long before it actually occurred. So I think that there is still some work to be done even prior to his release to the community. So
I agree. Yeah, he's not at the point of displaying a level of change that I'm comfortable with at all. So I'm also in denial today.
okay. And reasons for denial?
Criminal history. Well, actually, I would put the nature and circumstance and the fact that he was on a special parole.
When he admitted the offense.
Yeah. I mean, the fact is, of the matter is that he didn't take any program. That's one of the reasons why.
So inadequate.
But I wouldn't even list that as a reason because he was already in the treatment. He's not abiding by, he's not grasping anything from the treatment. So I would just do the special parole and the nature of circumstance is very concerning.
And inadequate evidence of offender change.
Inadequate evidence. So
Yeah.
Okay.
So the fact that special parole conditions, I have the prior conditions as well.
Okay, so let's talk about those now too. That community-based treatment for problem sexual behavior,
Yep.
no contact with minors,
Yep.
no pornography,
Yep.
no computer access.
Yep.
No
No
halfway house.
Yep. No contact with the victims of the underlying JB, LB. And I also have, they have mental health treatment and medication compliance. And I also see behavior management for anger management as prior conditions.
Huh. Do you think we should do the anger management? There's a lot happening there.
There is, but that was all the conditions that they set on as prior. If they feel things that you have to do it, we'll come back.
Okay, so let's start with today in the matter of Peter Waraksa, Waraksa. Thank you.
Waraksa. Thank you.
Gotcha. I appreciate the help. 336-484. There's a motion to deny parole for the following reasons. Nature and circumstance of the current offense committed on special parole, and inadequate evidence of offender change. We will also set the stipulations for the special parole that's running, and making it and move that once Mr. Waraksa has completed this sentence, he can then discharge to his special parole. And those conditions will be halfway house, mental health evaluation and treatment, medication compliance, community-based treatment for anger management, problem sexual behavior treatment, no contact with minors without the permission of the parole officer, no pornography, no computer access, no contact with victims, JB and LB. Did I miss anything? Okay, do I have a second?
Say half. Yes.
I did say half.
There's a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And this concludes the hearing for Peter Waraksa, number 336-484. All right, you're all set, sir.
Thank you. Do I need to do that sex offender program in jail?
That's
As
up to
well?
the Department of Corrections.
Okay. Thank you. I know which way to go now. Have a nice
Thank you.
holiday season.
All righty.
Okay, so let me try to unpack this because again, this is insane, and without context and the research, we probably have no idea what was going on in this case. But let me remind you, we'll go through article piece by piece by piece. But just the brief overcap, it was 5 children that he did these things to us. He was like a camp counselor for them, right? While he's in prison, he is caught as being the serial arson that resulted in the death of 2 people. They give him a sentence for that of just 8 years, but yet he somehow really gets paroled rather early. Then he's caught where it's not clear, but it seems like it was with CP on his phone, and he gets a new 3-year sentence for that. It just goes under violation of his parole conditions, which is so he's served 3 years time on that, and now he's denied, and he'll be getting out in like a year, just in total. But let's go through the facts of how insane this case is. Just absolute madness because it makes no sense. Because those put in charge to protect us are there's something wrong with them. So let me just read it to you. Ex-firefighter pleads guilty in fatal arson. This was now October 12th. A former East Windsor volunteer firefighter has pled guilty to a fatal 1986 fire in East Windsor and was sentenced to 8 years and 8 months in prison. Again, he is a convicted Ch0m0 with 5 child victims. He's in prison. He kills 2 people as a firefighter. He got away with it for decades and was able to commit more offenses, and they gave him an 8-year plea deal. Why? Why do you not lock him up for life right now? How is it possible that he had then gotten out on parole to commit more crime and still it was just 8 years? You murdered 2 people as a arsonist firefighter. How am I the only? How I know I'm not the only one. I know anybody watching this is enraged. How is it that a judge and a DA would not look at this and say you are done? It gets worse. Peter Warasaska, 50, pled guilty on Thursday to 2 counts of negligent homicide, arson, and burglary. He was arrested in July 2010, more than 23 years after the crimes, in connection with the deaths of Ori Harold Weeks 59 and his wife Astanta Weeks 57, who were found dead after a fire at their home in Broadville in 1986. Orwaska was a member of the Warehouse Point Volunteer Fire Department at the time of the fire. Orwaska was charged with arson, murder, after an investigation by East Windsor Police said and the State Cold Case Unit. He was already in prison at the time of the arrest, serving a 5-year sentence issued for 2007 for sexually assaulting 5 boys. 1 year for each boy. 10 years parole will follow a sentence. We have more. Thank you, Sir Richard. This was before Lady Holly joined. This is Sir Richard. Now listen to this. This is where it gets even nastier, right? Because a state trooper tried to protect him. State trooper in the molester reporting case asks for special probation. She's wants special probation for herself. So trooper Mary Buckley, 61, in the Superior Court Thursday, applied for accelerated rehabilitation. Buckley could have her charges dismissed if she successfully completes a probationary period. How could you ever give a deal like that? The 27-year veteran state trooper had been on administrative duty since her arrest December 2005. She was also suspended as an emergency management director of the East Windsor Emergency Management Department. Court documents show that Buckley has been accused of failing to report the molestation after her former neighbor, Peter of East Windsor, told her about the incidents. As director of the Emergency Management Department, Buckley supervised Orwaska, the executive officer at the volunteer agency. Orwaska, 45, on Wednesday was sentenced to 5 years in prison. In the same court, he apologized for molesting the 5 boys in 2005. He had pleaded no contest July 10th to 6 counts of risk of injury to a minor, 2 counts of fourth-degree SA, court official said. Buckley is charged with hindering the prosecution, 3 counts of risk of injury. This is the state trooper was charged for hindering the investigation. Buckeye and Warwaska are being sued by the mother of the 3 boys he assaulted. The lawsuit also names the town. The lawsuit contends that the boys were essayed by Warwaska while he was an employee of the town agency. It further alleges that the town should. Oh no, I just lost the place. Should be liable as Warwaska's supervisor. Buckley authorized him to organize a youth program that ultimately resulted in these assaults. Oh, a man making a youth program. And do you know what it says that he did? Like, this isn't just, let me show you. Here's one count, right? Dated conviction 2007, release 2016. Offender convicted for 5 separate cases. Offender removed bathing suit of young boys and had them run around after them. Offender, he did this in front of a 12-year-old male victim. He also touched them. And on another occasion, the offender did this of a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, okay? I'm screen sharing. I'm not saying it out loud. And he took photos. Just for the taking of the photos, they could have gotten a longer year sentence. Just for that. As for inseminating child, like, think about that. You could lock him away with all the evidence. Maybe even not even bringing up a witness. This pathetic, sick DA. But then again, you want to make this and that, and you want to say, but then they catch him for murdering 2 people and they don't throw the book at him. There is no one with basic critical thinking skills that can think this is good policy. These were the counts. As you can see, those were just, they gave him 5 years total with pretty much immediate parole eligibility. But then let's look at the meat of this case here. I don't know what the state trooper got in the end. I'm not 100% sure. She probably did get probation. Let's look at the information on the how they caught him. Volunteer firefighter named Pyro Pete pleads guilty to starting a 1986 blaze that killed a couple in their home. Peter Warkoska and Kara Pete by fellow firefighters has been sentenced to 8 years and 8 months in prison. Warkoska was arrested in 2010 for the 86 blaze that killed a Connecticut couple in their home. 1 year after the fatal fire, he was dismissed by the department over suspicious of setting fires in the area. Investigators were told that the number of brush, grass, and structure fires significantly increased after he became a firefighter. A former volunteer firefighter pled guilty to setting a fatal fire in 1986 that killed a Connecticut couple 1 year before he was dismissed for having suspicious knack of finding fires. Peter, nicknamed Pyro Pete by fellow firefighters in East Windsor, pled guilty Thursday to 2 counts of negligent homicide, arson, and burglary. The 50-year-old was arrested in July 2010, more than 23 years after the crimes in connection with the death of 59-year-old Ori Weeks and his wife, 57-year-old Hanato Weeks. The couple were found dead in their home October 7th, 1 year before he was dismissed by the Warehouse Point Volunteer Fire Department on suspicion of setting fires through the area, according to an arrest report. A retired fire chief of the fire marshal Warehouse Point investigators in 2010 that the number of brush and grass structures significantly increased. He said 45 fires found within a mile radius of his home. 45 fires. He has also said so too often to be the first to arrive at the fires. So he said he was always like right there, called many in himself, and found grass and wood files no other firefighter could find. And wood fires, no other fire. He was a superhero fireman. Lawrence Johnson, a retired East Windsor police officer, told police he was surprised when arriving at the 1986 fire that killed the Weeks couple, seeing Warkoska immediately there in full uniform. Pleading guilty to 2 counts of negligent homicide, 3rd-degree arson, and 2nd-degree burglary, he was sentenced to 8 years and 8 months in prison with 10 years of parole. At the time of the arrest, he was already serving for an unrelated 5-year prison stint in 2007 sexually assaulting boys. So again, I like, this is just insane. He gets out. They don't throw the book at him. They don't care that he is a serial Ch0m0. He working even for the city, again, somehow got a job working for the city. He gets out, and then he violates again by, I believe, downloading CP. They don't get into the details of it. And again, instead of throwing the book at this repeat murderer, offender, arson, disgusting creature, he only gets a 3-year sentence. I mean, he's getting out no matter what. 10/27 of 2026. No, I'm sorry. 1/30/2026. This, like, how can you not? How? I'm sorry. Do I sound like I'm whining? I think we're all on the same page. The more I looked at this case, and again, thank you, Sergio, for pulling it out. I didn't believe I was reading it correctly. Imagine being a prosecutor and saying, wait a minute, we found out that the cold case, double homicide, serial arson, who was in the fire department, got away with it. Somehow they figure out who knows how and he's in prison for doing this to 5 children where he had created this group for children under like the government. And then a state trooper, nonetheless, knew about it and tried to protect him, and all of this disgusting, the dirt and the rot and the mud. And they just like, let's just do a quiet plea deal. Like, this is so clearly a case of, wow, we have taken evil off of our streets. Instead, it's, and then he screws up on parole by downloading, it seems like downloading CP. They call it images, but who knows? I guess we don't know. I'm guessing it's CP. It could have been any image, probably, because they just don't allow it. But I don't know. I guess I'm guessing. We just don't know. Okay. This is clearly not justice. Anyone with, common sense can see that. How it's possible that these things happen, it's beyond. It's just beyond this. But here it is. We're calling it out. We're calling out the insanity for all of you to see it. And with that, I'll let you go.
Utilizing static 99R, the offender's overall score for sexual offense recidivism falls within the low moderate range.